Hey Falcons, happy Friday, or it might not be Friday if you're watching this early or late, but anyway, we are ready for step 3 in the research process. So just kind of a quick reminder that step 2 was all about actually researching the topic. So we talked about the types of sources, we've done our Noodle tools and we've cited, we've done our note cards, and you should have 15 to 20 note cards depending on what class you're in. Then we looked at organizing our note cards and setting ourselves up with our outline to prepare for the drafting and writing process. And so you had these categories that you could, or these topics that you could narrow down to. And then you've organized and color coded your note cards. So at this point, we are ready for the drafting process. So I'm going to return back really quick to the drafting process with the task at hand. And if you'll remember, the task was to create a 6 things list article to inform others about your chosen group. So the only example at the time that you had was this one, which was written about previously. And ours is going to be a lot more detailed and quite a bit more information than what this one has. But this is kind of that idea. But I have now copied or provided a couple of other examples for you. They are not fully finished, but at least they're kind of giving you an idea. So here's an example of a 6 lists article in Google Slide format. Okay, so I used the topic of homelessness, 6 things you should know. When you're doing a slideshow, please make sure that, and even if we're doing a Google Doc here, so here's a Google Doc, kind of the same thought process here. We are going to add some pictures and images. We're going to add some of those nonfiction text features. But if you're doing a slideshow, you have the ability to add more of that. So definitely keep in mind that if you're going to do a slideshow, I want you to make sure that you are being very crafty and creative about it. Okay, so this is a slideshow option. So remember, you had a couple different ways that you could present your information. You could present just with a Google Docs, which is this right here, or what I showed you a minute ago. You could do a Google Slides, which is this. Okay, so you've got kind of the start here. Or the last option was to do a Google Draw. And the thought process that I had with this was it would kind of seem pinboard-ish. So here's kind of the example that I have started here. I've got kind of this one little Google Draw pinboard. And when I click on this shape right here, I thought I linked it. Maybe I didn't. Okay, hang on. Okay, so sorry. I had not linked the articles that I wanted, so I wanted to make sure that I linked them. So you can see here that I created my title, the 6 things you should know, and then I was thinking that each shape or square kind of colored or organized in kind of pinboard style would link out to a document that has that information. So this very first document has my introduction information, and then I click on this square and it takes me to the first category or first topic that I would like to discuss. So what you choose to make is totally your choice. The Google Docs is probably the easiest to make. The Google Slides wouldn't take too much more time. The Google Draw would probably be the hardest to put together. It would take a lot of linking things and making sure that we're doing it right. However, the Google Draw would probably be the coolest to present when it's time to present to the whole class. The Google Slides, you can definitely add a lot of creativity to it when it's time to present. And then, of course, the Google Doc would just be a doc that you kind of show up there when it's time to present. So keep in mind that this is about writing first and presenting second, but you may want to find a balance between what you think would be the easiest to write and turn in list article wise, and which one would be the kind of the neatest or the coolest to present. So once you've decided that, you will go into your Drive and you'll create new here, and you'll pick whichever one you're going to do. So Google Docs is here, Slides is here, and More has your Google Draw option. So when you've chosen that, the very first step that we do is we write the introduction paragraph. Okay, the introduction paragraph, the whole intent of that is to make sure that you are telling your audience who your group is and define it for us. So kind of that who, what, when, where, why, that topic 1 here, that definition of the group. That's what we're looking for in the introduction paragraph. So definition of the group and what makes your group marginalized. And remember, we did this outline worksheet that you had all of that information on how they're marginalized right there on that outline sheet. So use that to help you. This paragraph should be about 4 to 6 sentences in length. Okay, so let's look at an example. So here's an example using homelessness as the introduction paragraph. So homelessness is a person who does not have a permanent and consistent nighttime residence. In other words, people who are homeless do not have a regular place to sleep. So right there, I defined my group. Who am I talking about? I am talking about homeless people, and here's how you know that it's considered homeless. Okay, so very quickly, I kind of identified what my group was, and I explained kind of how the who, what, or the who, more importantly, of my group. How do you become part of this marginalized group? Okay, then the second part here, I talk about why they're marginalized, and you can see down here I've kind of color-coded it. Okay, so people who are homeless are marginalized because of their inability to be involved socially and culturally with the rest of society. Oftentimes, homeless individuals are considered a nuisance. Their lack of money actually hinders their ability to find adequate work and keeps them from being able to participate easily in the voting process of our nation. Remember, I used that information from this outline worksheet. I thought about socially, culturally, economically, and politically what keeps them or what makes your group marginalized, okay? So I didn't talk about everything that was listed there, but I did talk about being socially and culturally marginalized with a quick example, and I talked about economically and politically being marginalized without a quick example. So both of those work great. And then finally, I kind of have that closing sentence there. Homelessness is extremely difficult to overcome without help or support. And if you go back through and count my sentences, I believe I have 6. In this one. So again, I've defined for you who my group is and how you're a part of that group. I've very quickly talked about how your group, why the group is marginalized, okay? In this particular case, I did not indicate a location, kind of the who, what, when, where part, or a when part, just because homelessness is something that kind of happens all the time and anywhere in the world, but you could add that information in there if you had anything specific to your group that we need to know. So this is introduce us. It's this whole who, what, when, where, why, topic number 1, and your overview page, okay? So there's that, and then if you are doing a Google Draw, or a Google Doc, I would put it right here. So I have the 6 things you should know about being homeless. Here's my introduction, okay? Then here I have my introduction right here. What does it mean to be homeless? I've put my introduction here. And then again, I also typed it right here if I was doing kind of the pinboard style, okay? All right, good luck. Let us know if you have any questions.